Hello there, Flosstube. So I just thought I would pop on and do a little Flosstube extra. It's Catherine here from Cathy Stitches. It is a lovely Friday morning here in Greater Manchester. We've actually got a bit of sun today for the last couple of days. The weather's been what you would call a little bit naff. So I'm just hoping it stays nice and bright today. But I just thought I'd pop on this morning just to give you a quick look at how I organise and store my floss, and then how I then kit up a project. Now, if you watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that I'm just about to start a project for my mum. It's the garden gate by the Drawn Thread. So I have finally got all my stuff in. So I've got my material, which is 28 count. I've got all my flosses. I've splashed out on this one and got the called for flosses. And the material, if I can just read this out to you, oh, my apologies, sorry, it's 32 count smoky pearl Belfast linen. So what I'm going to do is show you how I kit up and maybe go through a couple of the steps with you. I don't know if anybody will find it interesting, but I just thought since I was doing it, I might as well just pop it on here and let you see. So if we start off with how, I'm sorry, we may be visited by cats throughout this because they're all kind of circling and wondering what the hell I'm doing. So if one does pop in, I apologise. Although to be honest, they're probably a lot more interesting than me, so I might, we'll see what happens as we go along. So if we start off with the basics, which is my floss organisational scheme, I was going to say, but how I organise my floss. So what I would like to say is that the inspiration for this came from Jerry from Yankee Stitcher. She did a video a couple of months ago, if I remember I will link it down below, where she showed how she has all of her floss stored. And prior to that, I was bobbinating my floss, as you can see here. Here we go. This is Amy, everybody. These are containers that I actually bought from a DIY store, B&Q, here in the UK. I hadn't yet finalised how I was going to store my floss, so I didn't want to buy the big bobbin storage boxes. So these were less than £1 each from B&Q. So I just bought a couple of them just to start the process. I've got all my étoile thread in this and some metallic threads in here as well. I will actually keep those in here if I come to that later on. And in my projects as well, I've got some that are bobbinated, but I am moving away from this to this way of storing them. So my plan had originally been that in my crafty room upstairs, I have a copper pipe that runs along a wall that I have hangers on, that I hang things like scissors, tools and all that kind of stuff in front of my desk. So I was going to have that pipe with lots of hangers on, and I was going to hang these on there. But then I found that I couldn't do my sewing upstairs, and I had to move down here into my lounge and create my own little crafty corner. So I had to kind of adjust that plan slightly. So what I did instead was use PVC pipe. Now all of this is actually for a homemade lap stand that I made, and also homemade Q-snap frames, and I just pinched all the piping and all the connectors and just made this little stand here. I am eventually going to make it a bit more pretty, but at the moment I've just kept it with the white like this. It does the job perfectly. And so what I've got, these here that are numbered 1, 2, 3 and 4 are all my DMC. And I am a little bit cheap in some respects in the fact that I had lots of this gold and silver card stock. So all I've done is basically cut them up and then punched 2 holes in, and then with a permanent marker just wrote on the DMC number. So in one I've got from the start to the end of 500, in 2, 600 through to the end of 800, then 900 onwards there, and 3,300 on there, and then on this I've just got all my spare 310. In this ring here I've got my Weeks Die Works and Dinky Dies. They're in alphabetical order because I am quite anal in that respect. I've got my DMC variations here. I've got other fancy floss here, so here's some, can't remember the make of that one, classic Colourworks, Gentle Art, yeah, so they're all on these, and I've got a few spare here. Now, this I find is really handy because if I'm kitting up a project with DMC, what I will do is either take it off from here if it's needed. So if I need, for example, 726, I'll just take this and put it in the pack. Or if I need this in 2 projects, I'll just make up a temporary card, halve this and have one in one project and one half in the other project. But what I have developed alongside of this is a way of cataloguing all my thread. Now I did initially, oh, joined by another one here, I did initially use the X-Stitch app, but I just found it, come on, shoo, sorry, I just found it a little bit of a pain because obviously all the different, well not obviously if you've not seen the X-Stitch app, but the different thread types are in different pages, if you like, of the app, so you have to come out of one to go into the other. So I'm an Excel girl at heart. I live on it at work. When I'm working in, I just live in Excel, so I thought, right, okay, let's just do it on an Excel spreadsheet, because I know a lot of other YouTubers do that as well. So what I'm going to do is insert at some point in this video a quick little view of the Excel spreadsheet that I've set up. It's very easy. It just tells me the thread type, how many I've got of each thread colour, and the colour name, if it's something like a Weeks Die Works, and it also tells me what patterns they're in or if I've got spare. So all of my whips are numbered, and on the spreadsheet it'll say number 1, number 2, number 3, and I just have to look at what the corresponding whip is for that. So this is the Excel spreadsheet that I've got set up in my Google Drive. It's really simple. We've got thread type there, so all DMCs, and then we've got classic Colourworks, Dinky Dies, Gloriana, needlepoint silk, and where it's not just a number like with the DMCs, I've also got the name of the colour, and then if there's a number attached to that, I've put the number there. I've got the number of skeins that I've got, so whether I've got 1 or, as in the case of 310, I think I've got about 27 of them. And then I've got where they are. So I've got, for example, this one, 169, is in whip number 1, and there's also a spare. So if I want to know which whip that is, I just go onto my whip list here, and that has all my active whips, their number, and then obviously I can just check that against the corresponding number here, so I know where all my threads are. And if it says spare, that basically means that it's hung up in my thread. It's stored with all my other spare threads. Now, an extreme example of how I have organised or kitted up a project using this system is my hay that I'm working on. If anyone's seen my whip parade, you know I've got a heaven and earth design called Flutter, and if I just quickly show this, so I have them all the colours. I just flip it to the front there. I have them all kitted out like this. They're all numbered. I don't know if you can see that. They're all numbered for the threads, for the DMC number, and got the two like that. They're all in order. Obviously, I can't have anything that's not in order. And I just hang these on a hook by the side of me as I'm working through, and then what I will do is I've got it cut so literally I can just pull off a thread as I'm going along. So these all have 2 holes on, and I'll put just a couple of the little 6 groupings on this side, so it's easy for me to just pull the thread out. Now this is a lot of thread that's tied in on here, but it's all on my spreadsheet, so I know exactly what's in this Hayed one and how many skeins I've got of it. So every now and then I might need to borrow a little bit, but I keep track of what's gone where, so I can replace it if needed. But that is just for me a really easy way of organising it. Now I'm not going to lie, it did take a bit of time to initially do this, but the amount of time it saved me since it's been done has been incalculable. Right, I can't say that word, but you know what I mean. I just find that for me, I've got to have things organised. I really am I'm going to say that word again, very anal about it. I'm saying that word because I can't think of any other way to describe it, but yeah, so I like things nice and organised, and I find that this works for me. And it was actually quite therapeutic doing this. So I just basically had a lap stand, sat on the sofa with something good on Netflix, and just unwound all the DMC skeins and just did this. Took some time, but all I was doing was watching telly and shooing cats away from me, and it was just highly relaxing. Totally chilled out while doing it. Had a Diet Coke next to me. I was very happy. I was in a happy place. I'm sure there are people out there who understand what I'm saying there. So, as I said, we've got this is what I'm moving on to, and I'm just working my way using up these that are on the bobbins first of all. So if in a project it calls for a certain DMC, I'll check to see what's in here first of all and use these up. So they are still useful. I am still keeping hold of these. As I said, at the moment I've got my etoile in this as well, and I will be keeping these bobbinated like this because I find that actually they don't fray and get all over the shop as much if I keep them in here as I did actually initially try to put them on here, but they were just too bitty and getting everywhere, so I've kept them in here, kept them contained in here. Okay, so that is how I store and categorise my thread, and what I can tell you is that my cats don't come anywhere near this. You'd think with 5 cats that this would be that they'd be all over it, but this stays out in my lounge out of direct sunlight, so it's not got any sun glaring down on it, and they don't go anywhere near it. They just ignore it. As you could see when 1 or 2 of them jumped up on the table, that they didn't really have any interest in the thread. So it just seems to be working for me, so I'm going to keep going with this and maybe do something to make this a bit more pretty. I don't know, I might spray paint it, maybe silver or gold, or no, silver probably. Yeah, so that just really working for me. So, I doubt she'll ever watch this, but for Jerry at Yankee Stitches, thank you very much for giving me the idea for this. You'll get what I mean if you watch her video and see how she's done it. I'm not quite as fancy as she is, but it works. Let's get on to kitting up the garden gate then. I'm not going to do the whole thing with you because that would take too long and would be incredibly boring for you, but I'm just going to give you an idea of what I do. Now actually in this pattern there isn't any DMC. It's all either dinky dyes or needlepoint silk. But I have actually brought one DNC thread out here, so I can show you how it is that I unravel it and put it on one of my little cards, because I do actually need this for one of my whips, Happy Nest. I'm missing this colour, so if I do this first of all, show you how I do this, and then we can move on to how I treat these fancy flosses. So I spent an afternoon some time ago just cutting up all of these. I've not got, at the moment, I've not got one of those punches that you can actually punch out these. I just didn't see the point in buying one when I could just easily just use my rotary cutter and cut all of these out, so that's what I've done. It was bad enough having to punch these holes in them, so I'm all about efficiency for things like this, so anything that makes it easier. Although I say efficiency, I think that translates for me, so I'm all about being lazy in this. If I can find a way of doing things quicker and easier and more effectively and efficiently, I will do that, because it inevitably takes less time. So I generally just take, so the trick I have found from several Flosstubers is that you always want to pull out the end that's underneath the numbers. You never pull out the end that's on the top label here, because that's the inner thread, and you're already running the risk of tangles, but or for not developing, but to reduce that happening, you always pull the end that's just directly underneath the number of the thread. But before I forget, I'm actually going to write on here the number. Now I know I don't have this, so 353, and I've already added this onto my spreadsheet, so I know I've got it and I know which whip it's going into. So I just take this and just start unspooling it. Again, cats aren't really interested, and as you can see, it's just coming out nice and easily, and then you just get to the end. And I've forgotten to put some scissors up here, which is handy, and then you just play it out in your hand. See, no, there we go, no knots, and up again, and up again, till it's like that. And then what I will do is I'm going to cut there, and I'm going to cut there, or I will when I get a pair of scissors, so if you give me 1 second. Apologies. So I'm just cutting there and there, and then I will just pop that on there. Now if I was storing it, I would put it on that, put it like that, but because I'm going to be using this, what I'm going to do is just take off a couple of them there. Just pop this on there. So because this is folded up twice, if I were to put my needle in to pull out one strand there, it wouldn't do it. So what I need to do is put that like that. Yes, I do like my thread a little bit longer. I just have to keep on there you go. So now I can just pull out one strand at a time on that. Yeah, as I was saying, sorry, yes, it is quite long, that thread. But what I just find is that if I just dangle the needle down every now and then to unwind it, it stops it knotting. So that works absolutely fine for me. So I can now just put that in Happy Nest, and that's ready to go. Okay, so I've just had to stop the recording. Well, I'm just having to redo a little bit of a recording here because I'd finished everything and then went to my camera to check on it and then realised that I was wearing completely the wrong top for this video, and as I was writing and doing some stuff with the floss, I have been flashing you, so I figured that that's probably not a good look, so I have readjusted my top, so that is not going to happen. So I'm just going to cover how I'm treating my NPIs and my dinky dyes again for you. So there are a couple here that have been done, but I am going to redo them again this time, so you're not distracted by looking at my bra. Sorry for the TMI there, but as I was watching the video, oh sorry, cat just ruining my pattern there. As I was watching the video, I realised that no, that's not the kind of channel that this is. So what I had covered and what I will cover again is the non-variegated ones. I will put on these cards, and the variegated, even if it's just a little bit of variegation, I will put in the floss away bags. So with the card, I will put the floss type, NPI, the number, which is 965. Now I'm really paranoid. And it's dapple grey. Now the NPIs, they make it very easy for you. So pull it out, and what you're wanting to do first of all is just open it up at the top here. It's easy at this side. I say they make it easy for you. Ah, there it is, the knot. You just find your knot there. So there'll always be this knotted bit here, and you want to just shake it out like that, and there's your perfect length. So what you can do is spend a couple of minutes unknotting that, which I have done it occasionally, but for this video I'm not going to. So just literally find your bottom, cut it, and then I'm just going to cut right up against the knot on either side. And then just pop that on the card. And there we go. So there's your NPI done. So there's your so as I said, there's your NPI done. Next we'll look at a dinky dye. Now this is a little bit more fiddly. Let me just take it off here. So this is Cobar, and this is going to go into one of the floss away bags. So literally all I'm going to do is take the label, pop it in like that so it's clear what it is. Now I am going to cut this up a little bit, so again we've got the knot at the top there. Now you could cut that and have that as your one length, or you could double it up. You could unravel this and have it as longer threads. Now I would be annoyed at that length of thread. I like mine nice and long, but if you don't mind long threads, you've got your two ends at this, you know, you've got the ends here, so all you would need to do is cut there, and that's a nice length thread for you. But as I said, it's just not long enough for me. So what I do is, and some of this is going to be off camera, so I do apologise, is I just put this on my arm and I just start unravelling it I actually started at the wrong end here, but it's managed to knot itself up there. Should have used the other end, but doesn't matter. And I forgot to keep hold of the other end. Sometimes things never work out for you, do they? There we go. So in a similar way to what I did for the DMC, I'm just going to keep folding them over. And again. And now I've given myself the option of, if for some reason I did want to do the loop start, the thread is long enough. And if I don't and want to do pin stitch, I've got a nice long thread here, or I can cut it in half if I want it to be shorter, but this just gives me a little bit more flexibility than if I just cut it like that from the beginning. So I'll just pop that in there. I mean, strictly speaking, you can, if you want to. Sometimes what I will do is actually pop it on one of these just to keep it together. You know, just to keep it a little bit neater in the floss away bag, and then just take bits off and store it in here as it's needed. Or sometimes I'll just keep it loose like that, just depending on how I'm feeling when I'm doing it. But just take the air out there. So I've got these two in the floss away bags, the variegated ones and the non-variegated ones on these. So yeah, I'm really paranoid about this now. I should have changed my top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away and finish off all of these, put the ones on the cards that go on the cards, put the ones in the bag that are going in the bag, and then I will insert in a final picture of what it all looks like when everything's been organised. Then this will go on a Q-snap, sorry. I'm due to do another, well, my third of Flosstube, either Saturday or Sunday. I may have got started on this by then, or I may be working on Flutter My Haid, which is in the Q-snaps at the moment. But what I do need to do today is some knitting. I will give you the full story of this when I do my Flosstube Saturday or Sunday, but to give you the highlights of it, I thought I'd finished it. I'm knitting my mum a cardi, and I was doing the last front panel, and I came to just compare it because I've already stitched together the back panel and the front left panel, all fine. Then I came to hold it up against it, and I realised that I'd screwed up somewhere on the pattern. But again, long story short, I basically had to frog back quite a significant chunk of it to where all the decreasing starts around the armhole, and I was crying as I was doing it last night. So I'm going to try and make up for what I've lost, literally what I've lost on that. Oh my god. Oh, that was not a fun time. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. If it was of any use to you, I'm glad. If it was just a fun way of watching somebody be very awkwardly try to kit up a project, then again, I'm glad if it's amused you. Again though, I'd like to thank Jerry. I know she'll probably never watch this video, but at Yankee Creek Stitcher, for inspiring this way of storing my floss. Again, if you see her video, you'll notice that it's a lot fancier, but the basics are the same, hanging them up like this in the hooks. And I mean, she's got them all colour coordinated and all of that. That's far too fancy for me. I just go by number, order, or alphabetical order. But I hope you are all safe and well, and all your family and friends are doing well, and I hope you have a lovely, well, whenever you watch this, either a lovely evening or day, and I will see you soon. So if you like this, please do like and subscribe, and I will see you soon in my next normal Flosstube. Thank you.